However, the study emphasized that bottled water is not necessarily less contaminated with lead than tap water. So what you saying? As the US Food and Drug Administration sets the lower limit for lead in bottled water at 5 ppb. Now, to me, this right here is not exactly new because they spilled the beans some years ago that not necessarily bottled water is actually all that it's cracked up to be. So what are we really saying here? So the study also found that using filtered tap water doesn't necessarily prevent lead exposure either. Okay, back up. Okay, so now you got the tap water. Then you're saying the bottled water doesn't necessarily mean that it's safe. It has less contaminated. Let me use their terminology. Let their words, less contaminated. Now you're even saying that a study also found that using filtered tap water doesn't necessarily prevent lead exposure either. So what are we really talking about? So the racial and ethnic disparities present are indicative of the myriad ways environmental racism can manifest. I'm not saying it. They're saying it right here in this article. All right now. Lower screening rates, lower consumption of tap water, and higher levels of lead exposure among predominantly Black and Hispanic blocks may indicate mistrust toward water sources or lack of community engagement from relevant authorities. The study said that. The study, not me, the study. Neighborhoods with high risk estimates as well as low screening rates were largely clustered in the south and west sides of Chicago, corresponding to the city's geographic history of segregation and disinvestment. Talk to me. All right, so they have an assistant professor at Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health as the study's lead author. He re-emphasized that no amount of lead in water is safe. Warning, warning, warning. He re-emphasized that no, N-O spells no amount of lead in water is safe. The goal is to have zero lead in water at all. And we know from the science that even small amounts of lead in the water can impact a child. However, he also noted that the study's findings should not draw comparisons to high-profile water crises of relatively recent years. And he also mentions this young man. Now, when he was on there, this is the same young man. I see his picture now. It's not as bad as the Flint crisis. Your child's not going to be hospitalized from the levels of lead that you're seeing and that we're seeing. But yeah, I think there's some concern because even these low levels of lead, low levels, are things that can affect your child without you noticing. In addition, exposure to lead-based paint dust remains the overwhelming source of elevated blood levels in children in Chicago. This is why the Chicago Department of Public Health has invested in robust lead-based paint and dust inspection and mitigation, especially in communities most impacted. Now, in a statement, the Chicago Department of Water Management has said it took issue with the study's sampling, saying it only indicated whether or not there is a lead service line, not routine exposure. The city also said lead, oh God, I'm getting my words. Okay. The city also said lead testing shows the water meets the standards. I gotta take a moment here, okay, because when people talk down to me, I don't like it. The standards of the U.S. Environmental Protection Program, the EPA. So they say the city's saying everything's copacetic, that it meets the standards. How many times have we heard this, that it meets the standards? Whose standards is it? You're not drinking the water, but it meets the standards. Chicago has 3,800,000 lead service lines City officials estimate that replacing all of them will cost up to I'm so sick of these people, $9 billion. I'm so sick of them.